Hey guys, what is up? Jailus here, and in this photo manipulation tutorial, I'm gonna teach you how to transform this image into this one using Photoshop. So, let's get started. First, let's create a new file. So let's head over to File, let's click on New, and just rename this one to whatever you want, and we're going to use pixels for this one. I'm gonna give it a width of 2000 and a height of 2500 and a resolution of 150, and you can just make this one to 300 if you want a higher quality and if you want to print your artwork, and then just simply click create. Okay, so now let's set up our guides, and we're going to be using our rule of thirds in this photo manipulation. So let's go over to view and just click on new guide layout, and just set the number of columns to 3, and for the number of rows also to 3, and then just click OK. And to make sure you don't move your guides when creating your photo manipulation, go over to view, and we're gonna use lock guides so that we cannot move any of these guides over here. So now it's time to put the images that we're going to use. Okay, so this is going to be the first image over here, and just simply drag and drop to the canvas, and just click on the check mark over here, and we're gonna rename this one to ground. And then we're gonna create a layer mask, and we're gonna use a brush tool. So in a layer mask, if you want to erase something, you can use a black foreground, and if you want to bring back an image or a part of an image, just click on this icon to switch back to white foreground, and just simply paint back those image. So we're gonna be erasing, so we're gonna use a black foreground for this one, and we're gonna use a soft round brush and just increase the flow and the opacity to 100%, and then just simply erase this upper part over here. There you go. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna be adding is the sky, and we're just gonna simply drag this one over here and drop this one below our ground layer, and we're gonna rename this one to sky. So press Ctrl T and just drag these points to make the image bigger, just like this. We're not gonna be using this part over here, so just until it's covered by the ground, I think this one will be okay. And the next thing we're gonna add is for a tree. So we're just gonna simply drag this one over here and rename this one to tree. So we're going to erase the background, so we're going to use a magic wand tool, and just simply click on the white canvas over here, then right click here and choose rasterize so that we can delete those parts, and then just click on the delete key on the keyboard, and then press Ctrl D to deselect, right click here and convert it back to a smart object. So now we can press on Ctrl T and make this one slightly bigger. So I think I'm gonna be using this part only. There you go. And I'm going to be creating another layer mask, and we're going to use a brush tool and just erase this part over here. There you go. So I think now it's time to drag our main image, which is going to be the reindeer. So just simply drag this one over here, and we're going to put this one up top and just rename this one to reindeer. There you go. Press Ctrl T on this one. So we're gonna be using this guide over here, and we're gonna be aligning the eyes of our deer to the line over here, and put his entire face to the center of this intersection point. We're going to make this one slightly bigger. I think this one will do. So the upper row here is going to be composed of the upper head, and the intersection will be the center of its face, and the mid part will be for its body, and the last row which is going to be for the legs of our deer. And then just click on the move tool. Okay, so now we are done with mapping out all the images. Now we can remove the guides, so just go to view, and then click on the lock guides, and then click on the view again and select clear guides. So there you go. Okay, so now it's time to blend our images and create that snowy effect. So first here, I'm just gonna head over to our sky image and give it a teal color. So let's head over to the adjustment layer icon. Let's choose your saturation. Let's create the clipping mask, And let's drag this one to about -20, and I'm gonna increase the saturation a little bit to 5. There you go. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're going to decrease the opacity of our tree over here so that it looks farther away from our main subject. So just go over here and just decrease the opacity, just like this, until it smoothly blends with our sky image. This basically works when our background is of a solid color just like this one. So I think 20% will do. And now let's create a new layer just above our ground layer. So let's click on this layer to create a new layer. Let's use a brush tool, and we're going to use a white foreground for this one, and just slightly decrease the flow. Okay, so I think I'm gonna use 30% for this one, and we're going to create a haze or something like a fog on this middle part of our sky and ground image. So just like this, there you go. We're gonna create a bigger one. There you go. And I'm going to remove that sharp edge of our ground, so let's head over to the layer mask. Let's use a brush tool, and I think I'm gonna use 50% flow for this one, and just smoothly erase these edges just like this. Okay, so now I think it's time to blend our reindeer's feet to the grass here. So we're going to create a layer mask, and we're going to use a brush tool. And over here I'm going also to put the links in the description down below for this grass Photoshop brush. And I think I'm gonna use number 2 for this one. Just lower the size. So if you don't have this icon over here, just go to window and just choose the brushes over here, and it's gonna appear on this side of your window. So, and we're just going to erase these parts over here to blend it to the ground. And I think this one is perfect since it's like covered by this grass over here, and this part here, you see that line, the dark line is like some land area which is going to be covered by this grass area, and I think we just erased enough part of it. Okay, so I think we are done with blending the images, and now it's time to add that snowy effect on our photo manipulation. Okay, so first let's just group this sky image here and its adjustment layer. So let's select the sky image, press Ctrl key to select multiple layers and select the adjustment layers, and then press Ctrl G to group them, and just rename this one again to sky. Okay, so now we're gonna be adding some adjustment layers to our ground to make it like it's a snowy field. So the first adjustment layer we're going to add is levels. So let's head over to adjustment layer icon. Let's click on levels. Let's create a clipping mask, and we're just going to slightly fade this one to a whiter one. So I think we're going to drag this one to the left side to make it white, and I think just slightly here will do, so 1.88. And then we're going to add another level adjustment layer just to make it a little bit whiter. So let's head over to adjustment layer icon again. Let's choose levels. Let's create a clipping mask, and for here I'm gonna be dragging this one to about I think 3.35 will do. And just to decrease its overall whiteness, we can also drag this one to the right side. So I think I'm gonna give it okay, so I think 14 will do for this one. And for the last adjustment layer, we just have to remove those yellow parts or those green parts. So let's head over to adjustment layer icon. We're going to use black and white adjustment layer. Let's create a clipping mask, and just to remove those dark parts, we can just drag the yellow, since that one was composed of yellows, and we can drag this one to the right side to make it whiter, just like this. Okay, so I think 108 will do, and just close this one and see the difference. So this is the before and this one is the after. Okay, so now it looks more of a snowy field compared to the previous look. Okay, so now it's time to add a snow effect on our reindeer. So let's select our reindeer layer. Let's head over to adjustment layer icon and let's add levels. Let's create a clipping mask and we're going to drag this one again to the left side to make it white. So I think 4.04 will do for this one. And just to reduce the overall whiteness and remove some of those whiteness in those dark areas, we're going to use blend if. So just double click on this side, on the right side of the layer, and it's gonna pop up this dialog box over here. And in the underlying layer, let's hold the Alt key and just drag this over here to separate the slider and reduce the overall whiteness of our adjustment layer. So as you can see here, it disperses the white and removes those white in those dark spots or areas. Okay, so I think 77 will do, and then just click OK. And we don't want our reindeer to be like it's being frozen, so we're going to erase some of those white. So let's head over to the layer mask over here. Let's choose a brush tool, and of course with a black foreground, we're going to use a soft round brush for this one and just slightly decrease the flow to about 40%. And just to make it realistic, so the whites are going to be in those upper parts, and since this deer here is going to be like moving forward, then some of its snow will be on the right side. So basically the snow will be on the upper part and on the right side of our deer. So we're just going to erase this part over here just like this, or maybe just decrease the flow more to make a subtle erasure to our snow effect, just like this. And if you aren't satisfied with the overall whiteness of your reindeer, you can always add another adjustment layer. So for this one, I'm just gonna choose hue or saturation. Let's create a clipping mask, and let's put this one slider to the right side just to make it more whiter. There you go. And now press Ctrl I to invert the layer mask. Let's use a brush tool, and with the white foreground, so we're going to increase the whiteness on the feet here, since it's like submerged on the snow, just like this. And if you want, you can also add some more whites on top of the deer's body over here, just like this. Okay, so I think we are done here, and I just really want to make our reindeer's nose here red, so that it looks like he's Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. So hence it's the Christmas is coming, and I'm just gonna make this one a fantasy one, and I'm gonna change the nose of our reindeer and change it to color red. So we're going to add another hue adjustment layer. Let's create a clipping mask, and we're going to check colorize on this one, and let's increase the saturation to about 49, and then let's press Ctrl I to invert the layer mask. Let's use a brush tool, and with a white foreground, let's just paint in those reds on his nose. There you go. Okay, so now we can group this one over here. So select the upper layer and then hold the shift key and select the lower layer, and it's going to select all those layers in between. Press Ctrl G to group them, and let's rename this one to reindeer. Okay, so now it's time to add those snow falling down. So let's go over to adjustment layer icon. Let's choose solid color. let's choose black for this one and just press OK. Right click here and convert this one to a smart object. Now let's go to filter, choose noise, add noise, and just set this one to about maybe somewhere over 100%, and the distribution to Gaussian, and just check monochromatic and then just press OK. Now go to filter again, let's choose pixelate for this one and choose crystallize. So I'm just gonna give it a 10 for the cell size and just press OK. And after that we're going to choose filter again, let's choose blur, and we're going to add some motion blur, and our snow should be going to the left side, so just drag this icon over here just like this, and let's decrease the distance. Okay, so I think 20 will do for this one, and then just press OK and change the blending mode from normal to screen, and there you go. Now to decrease those overall snow, let's add an adjustment layer. So let's choose levels, let's create a clipping mask, and we're just going to drag this one to the right side to decrease the overall snow effect, just like this. There you go. I think 30 will do for this one. Okay, so now let's erase some of its parts. So let's head over to this color fill layer, let's create a layer mask, and let's choose a brush tool, and with a black foreground let's erase some of its part that is covering our deer, since we don't want the focus or the attention of our viewers to be distracted by our snow effect. So we're just going to erase this part and maybe decrease the flow here and just slightly erase this back portion of our snow effect. There you go. I think this one will do. And to add to the final touch, let's head over to our uppermost layer. We're going to add this snowflake over here. So let's choose a lasso tool by pressing L, or just select the lasso tool in the toolbar. And I'm going to use this one over here. Press Ctrl J in the selection to duplicate, right click and convert this one to a smart object. And let's go over to effects, blending options. Over here we're going to check on color overlay, and let's change this one to white. Click OK, click the move tool and drag this one over here just like this, and this is going to serve somewhat like a bokeh effect. So to duplicate this one, you can just hold the Alt key and drag this one over here, or just press Ctrl J and drag this one. So we're going to make this smaller just like this, and this one also. Okay, so now we can group this one. So let's select this layer also, and all these snowflake layers, and then press Ctrl G to group them. Right click here and convert this one to a smart object, and let's rename this one to Snowflakes. And then let's head over to filter, let's add a blur, let's add a Gaussian blur, and I think 15 pixels will do for this one, and then just simply press OK. Okay, so now let's head over to our tree image. So over here, and let's create a hue or saturation layer for this one. Let's head over to adjustment layer icon, let's choose hue or saturation. Let's create a clipping mask and drag the lightness to somewhere maybe I think 70 will do for this one. And then press Ctrl I to invert the layer mask, and let's use a brush tool, and let's use a white foreground, and just simply bring back those whites in the upper part of our tree image just like this. There you go. And let's head over to our snow falling layer, and we're going to use a brush tool with a black foreground and just simply delete this part over here, and maybe just decrease the overall snow falling down just like this. Okay, so now to finish up our photo manipulation, it's time to add a camera raw filter. So let's head over to our uppermost layer, Press Ctrl Alt Shift E at the same time to create a merge layer of all the layers. Right click here and convert this one to a smart object. Now go over to filter and choose camera raw filter. So from these settings over here, you can just change any settings you want. So there are no right or wrong here. This is just basically based on your preference. So let's head over to the basic settings. So I'm just gonna add a texture of, I think 20 will do for this one, just to make it a little bit sharper. And for the clarity, I'm gonna give it 20 as well, and just to make it a little bit lively, so we're gonna give it a vibrance. So I think 40 will do for this one. And for the next, we're gonna add some details, maybe add some sharpening of 40 just to increase the overall quality of our photo manipulation, and a bit of noise reduction. There you go. And for the color mixer, let's choose U for this one, and let's increase the yellows. I think 70 will do. And for the aquas, let's make this one close to green one. So I think negative 70 will do for this one. And for the saturation, let's decrease the yellows and also the green. And lastly, for the luminance, I think I'm just gonna give it a 20 for the orange, since our deer here is composed of orange color, just to add some life to the color of it. I think 20 will do. And lastly, for the color grading, I'm gonna give our highlights a blue tone to it, just a little bit. And for the blending, we're going to increase this one to 100 just to make our photo manipulation images blend more to each other. And then whenever you're satisfied with all the settings here, so you're free to adjust any settings as you want. You can just simply click OK whenever you are satisfied. Okay, so this one is the before and this one is the after. So we are done with our Photoshop photo manipulation tutorial for today. So I hope you have learned something from this tutorial, and if you do, hit that like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel and click that bell icon to get notified whenever I upload a new content. Thank you so much for watching, and see you on my next video.